Hey folks, welcome back to the Holy Comforter Episcopal Church YouTube Bible study. I'm Jimmy Abbott, the priest here at Holy Comforter, and I have some thoughts, some reflections, some questions, lots of stuff to talk about in the gospel lesson for this Sunday. The gospel lesson is taken from the Gospel of John, chapter 4, verses 5 through 42. It's a long one, so just sort of buckle your seatbelts for church. It's just going to be long. Get ready for it. Anyway, this is the famous story of Jesus meeting the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman. It's important to recognize that this is the first time in the Gospels that Jesus reveals himself as the Messiah, and it's to this nameless Samaritan woman, really, truly a subversion of the normal way of things, the way that we expect things, or the way that the world expected things to happen back then. Now, I just want to say, there's just a lot going on in the world, isn't there? That, fears about the coronavirus and then the impact that's had on our financial markets and our economy. You can tell there's a lot of upheaval. And now with schools, conferences, concerts, all manner of things closing down, that there is this, I don't know, maybe I'm just making this up, but for me, like almost this impending sense of doom. Like what is going on? Is there any hope? Is there any future? What does life look like on the other side of whatever this thing is that we're dealing with? Now, that's a temptation to nihilism. If you listen to my podcast, Two Priests in a Pod, with my buddy Jeff Evans, well, he just read the on the Incarnation by Saint Athanasius. And that's part of what we talked about in the podcast, was that there is always this temptation. Evil is always tempting us into nihilism, to say that nothing matters, that at the end of the day we all die and we just, nothing happens. And so evil is always calling us into this nothingness, because when we were called into that nothingness, we are called away from the God who does indeed give us purpose and meaning. Nihilism also is isolating. I think that's one of the scariest things about this issue right now, is to think of people having to self-quarantine, or in places around the world, a mandatory quarantine. Isolation is a scary thing for us humans, because humans are built, we are hardwired, as Brene Brown says, for connection and for community. And so the idea of isolating ourselves is really disturbing. Now, that's part of what's going on in the story of the Samaritan woman at the well. We could say that she is isolated. She comes to the well at noon when no one else really goes to draw water. I mean, why would you in the middle of the day? You can tell she, as Jesus points out, she's had 5 husbands. The man she is with now is not her husband. I'm sure there's fear in that, fear of judgment, fear of what other people are saying about her. And there's probably a sense of isolation, that it doesn't seem like she can ever build or have a lasting relationship. And so I think, actually, in many ways, we right now are the women at the well, and we bring with us all the time, carrying this great emotional, spiritual baggage with us. And what Jesus does is that she calls her out of that temptation to nihilism and gives her a new purpose. You'll see, if you read the Gospel of John, that she then goes and tells the whole city about Jesus. She says, this can't be the Messiah, can it? And then they all come out to meet Jesus, and eventually they all do come to believe that this man, this Jesus Christ, is the Messiah. So not only does Jesus make this woman feel better, that's part of it, but he transforms her life. So she goes from a place of where nothing really matters, I'm lonely, I'm isolated, to everything matters, because Jesus Christ has given me a new direction, and this new direction is so important that I have to go tell other people about it. And it's interesting then is that she becomes the little thing that changes an entire community. And I think that's important for us to remember now in this place in our life, that the things that we do for Jesus, the things that we do for God right now, they may seem very small, but they can have tremendous consequences for the life and the well-being of a community. And so as we're tempted to draw back into ourselves, as we're tempted to be afraid of other people, I think it's really important that we think about the woman at the well and how she is given a new direction, a new purpose in her life by Jesus Christ. And I pray the same for you, that wherever you are in that spectrum of fear, because we all live with a little bit of fear or a lot of fear, just kind of depends on where we are on that spectrum. I pray that Jesus Christ gives you a new direction and a new purpose for your vocation in life, so that you can understand that the things you do are empowered by the Holy Spirit, and that even the smallest things you do can be tremendously important for the life and the well-being of the community in which you live. Again, God bless. Many prayers for you and for our whole world.